Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. Uneducated Network on YouTube presents Uneducated Sports Talk, and I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and today we have fantasy football news on this glorious Sunday before the game start. I do apologize I didn't do it yesterday, but we'll do it today. So it'll be uploaded about around the 11:30 area, right before kickoff, so stay tuned for that, guys. So let's go with this. We had our Thanksgiving games. The Vikings defeat the Lions. We had the Chargers beat the Cowboys. And we had the Giants lose to the Washington Redskins. Fantastic Thursday game. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Let's get on to the picks for this week. So, we got Cleveland at Cincinnati. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm going with Cincinnati. Cleveland still hasn't won a game yet. I'm not going to trust them this time, even though it's a semi-superior Cincinnati team. But Cincinnati being at home, I think they're a better team than Cleveland. I got Cincinnati, no-brainer. Carolina at the New York Jets. The Panthers travel to New York, and in my mind and in my heart and my soul, I want to pick the Jets so bad, but I can't. I'm going with Carolina in this game. I think it'll be more of the run game, the short pass game. It'll be a tight game, very close scoring game. I know that, low-scoring game. So I think it'll be more in the 20-16 kind of game, in my opinion, I think. But I'm going with Carolina to win this game. Very close. Tennessee at Indianapolis. I'm actually going with the Colts to win this game. I think the Colts have a high power, I know, right? High power offense. Being at home against Tennessee, I have a feeling that Tennessee won't bring their A game. If the Colts can stop the run game and kind of make Mariota have to look at 2 or 3 targets before he throws or runs, they have a chance to win this game. I think Colts take it in somewhat of a shootout, so I'm going with Indianapolis in this game. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I'm going with Atlanta, those dirty birds. Matt Ryan, I think, being at home, they've kind of gotten their edge back now as a pass team, as a pass offense, I think, the last couple of weeks. So I think they continue that hot streak at home against Tampa Bay and do some damage. So I'm really loving Atlanta in this game. Miami at New England, that's a no-brainer once again. New England is just the cream of the crop of the AFC. Miami is just Miami. I believe they're 4-6, I believe, at this time. But they're struggling on offense, and this is not a team that you want to play when you're struggling on offense. New England, the last 6 games, has had their opponent score 17 points or less the last 6 games of the season. So I'm going with New England to beat Miami. Chicago at Philadelphia, another no-brainer. Philly is the hottest team in the NFL right now. Chicago is not the hottest team. Look, a young quarterback with Mitch Trubisky, Philadelphia is going to abuse that. Their defense is flying on all cylinders. If you thought Dak Prescott had a bad game, wait till you see Mitch Trubisky against Philadelphia. Their defense, offense, running game, pass game is all on point. They have no flaws as of right now. So Philly is looking good. I got them going, I believe 11-1 or 10-1. Excuse me. I don't know the record. It might be 10-1 right now. So I'll have me at 11-1. Buffalo at Kansas City. This is my upset of the week, if you want to call it that. 5-5 Buffalo versus 6-4 Kansas City. Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo over Kansas City. Kansas City, for some reason, has lost their edge, their funk, their grittiness. I don't know what's going on with the team, and Buffalo is the more desperate team. This is one of those desperate times now, and I think Buffalo being so desperate, I think they'll go out and pull a win. Tyler Taylor has a lot to prove after him being benched and then coming back in last game. He's got a lot to prove, so he said, you know what? They're going to go ahead and take care of business in Kansas City. I got it as one of those 24-20 kind of games. I think Buffalo comes out on top. LaShawn McCoy, I believe, has a big game as well. So I'm going with Buffalo with the upset victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Seattle at San Francisco. I'm going with Seattle just because it's San Francisco. Right now, Seattle's defense is playing bad. Their offense is doing pretty good, but you can expect that when no Richard Sherman, no Cam Chancellor. Everyone is getting banged up every second for this Seattle Seahawks team, and I feel somewhat bad for them. But against San Francisco, who's a very inferior opponent, I think they'll go ahead and take care of business in San Francisco. But it'll be closer to what you think. It'll be a lot closer. But I have Seattle still winning this game. Denver at Oakland. I'm going with the Oakland Raiders. I think both these teams need this game. They are both literally one loss away from being done. And I'm not saying somewhat in the standings, but just for your confidence. especially Denver. Denver loses this game, all confidence is already low at an all-time low. You lose this game, you're done. I think Oakland comes out with a victory and stays in the playoff race. They can thank Kansas City for kind of struggling, but the Chargers all of a sudden started 0-4. Now they're 5-6. They're getting hot. They're getting hot at the right time as well. So the Chargers are moving on up while Denver and Oakland are kind of coming back down. But Kansas City has to be aware that these teams aren't here just to, these are still NFL teams. So they got to keep their pedal to the metal. I think Oakland does that. Denver falls down, basically out the playoffs, out the playoff talk. So got the Raiders. And I guess you could call it the game of the week, New Orleans at the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, I am a Saints fan. Everybody knows that. But bad news came out of New Orleans camp. The starting cornerbacks, Marshawn Lattimore and Ken Crowley, are out for the game. And that kind of swapped my pick. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams at home against a wounded Saints defense. They do bring back Kenny Vaccaro and A.J. Klein, but no secondary. It's going to hurt. We've all know that the Saints have been a very poor secondary team over the last 4 or 5 years, and now you take out 2 of their best players in the secondary in one game against a hot Los Angeles Rams team. I'm going with the Rams to win this one. Will I say blowout? Probably not, but it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I can tell you that right now. More of a 30-27, 30-24 kind of game. Rams come out on top. Jacksonville at Arizona. I am going with the Arizona Cardinals. Just another semi-upset. Jacksonville has been winning off of defense and a good running game, and that's very good. And most times you can bring that to places. I think in this particular game, Arizona can be fired up. Larry Fitzgerald is just under 100 yards away from going into 4th place into the all-time receiving list, I believe, or it could be 3rd place. It might be 4th place. But I think that the fans will be fired up. I think Arizona wins in an ugly, ugly game, but I got it as one of those 23-17 kind of games. Arizona wins. So I'm looking out for those guys beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, look, defense and running game will follow you anywhere. But sometimes you're going to have to use your passing game. And when Blake Bortles was forced to use his passing game, it is not pretty for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think in this game, Arizona handles business, I think. Green Bay at Pittsburgh. If you would ask me this question about 7 weeks ago, I'd have said Green Bay does damage in Pittsburgh. But no Aaron Rodgers, big problem for the Packers. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers at home where Ben is a totally different quarterback at home. He is going to eat up this defense. He's going to eat up this Green Bay defense. I'll tell you that right now. Antonio Brown is going to have a field day as well, so I'm being on the lookout for those guys. But Green Bay is going to get destroyed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hundley is just not who we want him to be. I don't know if it's more the leash or if it's just him as a quarterback. I don't know what's going on, but it's not looking good. Green Bay cannot afford another loss. If not, they are done completely. Wild card for sure. Division for sure. Wild card, most likely they're done. Houston at Baltimore, Monday Night Football. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens in this game. Houston, look, Baltimore has a great secondary. Houston, they're down to their Tom Savage quarterback, and their defense is banged up. I think Baltimore will be hyped up and get some big plays in this game, so I'm looking forward to that. I think Houston is coming in at the wrong time against a hungry Baltimore Ravens defense. Their secondary is amazing. So once they get a decent lead of you and they focus on the pass game and pass rushing and locking down wide receivers, they will be just fine. So Baltimore, I got them winning against Houston. Those are my picks for week 12. Earlier, I told you I chose the Lions over the Vikings, but the Lions lost that. I chose the Chargers over the Cowboys, and I got that right. And I chose the Redskins over the Giants, and I got that right. So far, I'm 2-1. So let's try and go whatever. How many games is this? 14, I believe. I'm trying to go 13-1, something like that. We will see. All right, people, on to our fantasy talk of the NFL. This week, got some eerie matchups. So I'm going to go ahead and start my quarterbacks. Who do I start? Who I like? I'll tell you that I like Jared Goff versus New Orleans. Being at home, got that pass attack. Yes, there's no Robert Woods, but you still have Sammy Watkins and Cooper Kupp in game. And Ty Gurley, who's becoming a phenomenal pass catcher. I'm going with Jared Goff. I think if you have Jared Goff, start him against New Orleans because there's no Marshawn Lattimore, no Ken Crowley. I'm starting them against New Orleans. Also, I'm going to start Matt Ryan versus Tampa Bay. I know that's kind of like, what? I think Matt Ryan has found his edge. Julio and Kane, they have found their edge. They are now throwing it to everybody, and everyone's getting the wealth. I think Matt Ryan's going to have a few touchdowns in this game with about close to 300 yards passing. I like Matt Ryan. And also, Jacoby Brissett versus Tennessee. I like this matchup. He's been doing very well at home the last 3 home games. Why not make it 4 in a row? Jacoby Brissett's going to have a big game, do some damage as well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jacoby Brissett versus Tennessee. If you got him, start him. Start him. Who I'm sitting down? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting down Cam Newton. Yes, Cam Newton versus the New York Jets. It sounds like, why? But why are you doing it? I'm just saying that the Jets, I think, are going to come out and be hungry. That secondary is their backbone. And I think that they will force the Cam to either run the ball a lot or for Cam to use the running game with Christian McCaffrey or the short pass game. So I think Cam gets about 200 yards passing, I believe, and that's pretty much it. Now, Greg Olsen comes back, but I don't know if he'll be a big impact right away for Carolina. He might have to be in a game or two before he gets a really big impact game. So I'm sitting down Cam Newton just for this game against the New York Jets. Being on the road, tough environment. Do that, trust me. And I'm sitting down Blaine Gabbert versus Jacksonville. That's kind of a no-brainer because Jacksonville, but everyone's saying, well, Jalen Ramsey is out, so that's the best cornerback, But still, they still have other people that can play defense as well. Blaine Gabbert, I'm sitting him down. I'm not even touching him. If you're in a wide league, try and find somebody quickly before that because Blaine Gabbert versus Jacksonville is going to be ugly. On to the running backs now. I'm going on a limb. I'm saying Isaiah Crowell versus Cincinnati. Yes, he's had an up and down, mostly down year, but I'm going Isaiah Crowell against Cincinnati. I think he has a couple touchdowns in his system. He's been playing well as of late, and I like what he's doing. So I'm going with Isaiah Crowell against Cincinnati. Touchdown purposes, not yardage. I think he'll give you a few touchdowns. So if you got him in a deep league, put him in there as your flex. I like him. Also, Tevin Coleman versus Tampa Bay. Not only for the running game, but for the passing game. With the Devontae Freeman being out, he's going to be the main focus. So you know that he's going to get the ball out on running game. But what I like about it is his pass catching ability as well. So he's going to have a field day against Tampa Bay. I got a great feeling about that. And I'm also starting Marshawn Lynch versus Denver. Yes, I said that. Denver's defense has been porous when it comes down to the run game as of late and the pass game as of late, but I believe they will shut down the pass game against the Raiders. But Marshawn Lynch has to have a big game. It's the first time the Raiders have faced an offense that isn't a juggernaut in a while. So Marshawn Lynch, the longer they can keep the game close, the more Marshawn Lynch can be used in the game. And I think he'll be used late in the fourth quarter in this particular game. So I'm going Marshawn Lynch versus Denver. Running backs, I'm sitting down, Lamar Miller versus Baltimore. I think at the end of the day, Baltimore's going to shut that run game down, and they're going to force the Texans to throw the ball. I think Lamar Miller will have a short day pretty much. He's still a very good pass-catching running back, but it's not going to make a difference in this game. Maybe if you have PPR, but if you're in a standard league, for sure, I wouldn't touch Lamar Miller one bit. And I'm also sitting down Carlos Hyde against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's going to stop their run game. They're going to start their run game and force you to pass. They're going to shut it down. I think Carlos Hyde, him not even being a catching running back or a pass catching running back, he doesn't have that threat. So I think somewhere in the third quarter he'll probably be out. So Carlos Hyde, I'm sitting him down against Seattle. I just don't like the matchup. Let's go with wide receivers. Wide receivers who I'm starting. Larry Fitzgerald, of course, versus Jacksonville. I said that, yes. I did say sit the quarterback down, but you can start the wide receiver. I think Larry Fitzgerald with no Jalen Ramsey, I'm not going to say has a field day, but with the motivation and being at home and only being a few yards away from passing up, I want to say Isaac Bruce for fourth all-time on the NFL receiving yards list. I think he'll have motivation to make plays. I think Arizona as a group has motivation to give him the ball. So Larry Fitzgerald, I will start him. Also, Devontae Parker versus New England. It's going to be a blowout. New England gets up pretty big at one point where Miami's going to pass. I think Devontae Parker comes down with at least 2 touchdowns, maybe 100 yards receiving. He's a big physical receiver. They can get on the same page, one accord. I don't know who the quarterback is, to be honest. Jay Cutler or Matt Moore. Whoever it is, they need to find Devontae Parker in this game because he's going to be a mismatch against any cornerback they have. And I'm going with somewhat of a sneak. Paul Richardson versus San Francisco. I think he has a big play or two up his sleeve against San Francisco. I'm curious to see how they use him. The last couple of games, they've been using him more for just slot receiver and getting 8 yards per catch on like just 4 or 5 catches. But I think in this game, they go deep to Paul Richardson a few times. It gets big plays and look for touchdowns for him. So, and then I'm sitting out any wide receiver versus Denver. Whether it be Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, hell, Seth Roberts, depending on how deep your league is, sitting down. This team against Akeem Talib and Chris Harris Jr. is going to get shut down, I believe. If anything, Derek Carr's going to make some plays for himself, whether it's scramble mode or I don't know what's going on, but they're going to need some help big time. Also, Jordy Nelson, can you name me one wide receiver production that has dropped from an injury as bad as Jordy Nelson? His productivity with Brett Hundley has just been bad. I think Devontae Adams has had a better rapport with Brett Hundley, but this isn't Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Nelson gets a lot of his plays from Aaron Rodgers extending the play. And Brett Hundley doesn't have that extendability play, or just, he hasn't been in the system that long. I mean, he's been in there, but he hasn't had game time. Aaron Rodgers has played in the system all his life, so he knows what's going on before it even happens. Now, I feel bad for Jordan Nelson, but he's a team player, so there you go. And then I'm also sending out Devin Funches for the Carolina Panthers against the New York Jets. With Cam having a problem, I think Devin Funches is going to have a problem as well. He is somewhat of the number one receiver for the Carolina Panthers, but I think that he targets other people in this game. The Jets are going to come out and play, I think, in this game. I have a feeling the Jets will do some really good damage in this game on the defensive side. So, to recap, my quarterbacks, I'm starting Jared Goff versus New Orleans. I'm starting Matt Ryan versus Tampa Bay, and I'm starting Jacoby Brissett versus Tennessee. Quarterbacks that I'm sitting down Cam Newton versus the New York Jets, and I'm sitting out Blaine Gabbert versus Jacksonville. It's kind of a no-brainer. The running backs I'm starting, Isaiah Crowell versus Cincinnati. I just got a hunch. Roll me on this one. Roll me, please. I got you. And then Tevin Coleman versus Tampa Bay. Start him as well. And Marshawn Lynch versus Denver. I like those matchups. Running back, I'm sitting down. Lamar Miller versus Baltimore. I think he's just going to have a tough time getting anything going against that Baltimore defense. And then Carlos Hyde versus Seattle. And wide receivers, I'm starting. Go ahead and start Larry Fitzgerald versus Jacksonville. He is trying to become the 4th all-time in receiving yards in NFL history. I think he will get it done. Devontae Parker as well versus New England. I like that matchup. And then Paul Richardson versus San Francisco. And then who I'm sitting down for the wide receiver position, any wide receiver for any wide receiver for Oakland, sit them down against Denver. They're just very poor this year for some reason. Sitting down Jordy Nelson versus Pittsburgh, and I'm sitting down Devin Funches versus New York Jets. So that is my fantasy talk. Guys, like, subscribe, and comment to Uneducated Network. If you have any comments, comment down below. How do you feel? Who do you have in fantasy? Tell me who you like. This is Uneducated Network, and it presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and as always, sports fans, you know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.